Today we're looking at Diamine Claret. Hi, I'm Adam and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now Diamine Claret is a magenta ink or purpley red. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put it into a different pen for day. Then I put it into a Cross Baily to take my notes for this video. Before we get to the writing samples, let's take a look at the sciencey bits. And up first is the chromatography. And I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. And we see this really nice light pink up into magenta, but this really cool color. If the whole ink looked like the top of that chromatography, it would be amazing. That is a great color. I wish there was more of it. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into the water. And it looks almost exactly the same. The only difference between the one on the left and the one on the right that I see is at the bottom, where there's that thicker pink area that's just a little thicker on where it was allowed to dry for 10 minutes. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page and how hard it might be to clean out of your pens. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, we see that it reactivates, it feathers and explodes all over the place, and doesn't look particularly nice. I would not use this as a note taker. There's good news that comes with that when we look at the water. The water is completely reactivating, pulling it off of the page. And if it was wiped away and not just blotted or given a little longer than 30 seconds, I believe water would have completely removed it. Pen Flush did very much the same thing, just a step farther. You can see all the way this halo around it where it's a white haloing around because it's completely removing it. Which is what bleach did. Bleach totally removed it from the page, leaving none of it behind. For the inks I've tested, I found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine Claret has a viscosity of 1.49. Yes, that is a wet ink. To find my average dry times, I use the writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine Claret has an average dry time of 15 seconds, which makes it a very normal dry time, which is nice to see with how wet this particular ink was. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub. I use a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's look at Clairefontaine. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. With the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no color variation. The extra fine gives us no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 10 seconds to dry. And the medium gives us no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. On the color variation, it looks like the F of Fox is a little lighter. It looks like the L of lazy is a little lighter. The G of dog looks a little lighter. So I'm going to say there is a little bit of color variation, just that it's not quite as drastic as you may be used to with other inks. 14 seconds to dry. The extra fine and scrubby, or extra fine and medium scrubby, both give us the idea that we're not going to get any color variation. But we did see little bits of it with the medium. The smudge says I could probably recover this if I smudged while I was writing. Tomoe River. We get no bleeding, we do get ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and no shade. The extra fine gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 17 seconds to dry. Same problem with the medium. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 22 seconds to dry. I would just like to see it bring out a little something on this ink. It could be the background. This tone of paper doesn't do it for me. I like the ivory tone of paper. I like the cream tone in paper. I don't normally care for white paper. My preference is towards ivory. This is the cream, and I think it's just sort of killing the color to me. Looking at the scrubby, we see that we're not going to get any color variation on this in the extra fine or the medium, and the smear test looks like I may be able to recover that, which is really not the normal on Tomoe River. So, Rhodia paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine is definitely a lighter tone than we got with the 1.1. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 12 seconds to dry. And I've got to say, the thing is, this is such a beautiful color. I would normally just pass by something that doesn't have a nice standout quality about it as an ink, but this is a beautiful color. Its beautiful color is its standout quality. I wish I saw something else, but I do like this color. This is a fantastic color. When I used it with the Cross Baily, bit wetter pen, so I know I don't get color variation. But it's just a beautiful color, and it's consistent. Yes, this medium is the same tone as this. This extra fine is a little bit lighter. So we get very little color change for pen and nib, but it's a beautiful color. I wish it had something else going for it. The medium is definitely a darker than we had with the extra fine. It has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 15 seconds to dry. Looking at the scrubby, we see that we're not going to get any shading on this ink, but the smear test shows us we could recover it. Being this was a beautiful color and it's really performing so well, I decided to look at it on other tones of paper. So the yellow Rhodia gives us no... I keep hearing like a feedback, but I don't see it showing up in my monitoring. Huh. Okay. We get no ghosting, no bleed, as expected. It's still Rhodia paper. We do get a little tone difference in the color. We do see a slight color change for being on yellow paper, which is nice. It's nice to be able to draw out some different qualities in inks and different tones and colors based on the paper we use. It's almost like having additional inks. So with the 1.1, we still have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine still gives us no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, and still gives us 12 seconds to dry. Medium, still no feather, no spread, no halo, sheen, shade, and 15 seconds to dry. This scrubby still tells us no color variation. We can still recover this if we smeared it. So white lines paper. We have definite bleeding, but not bleeding all the way through onto the page below. This leads to a lot of ghosting. It's an expensive paper. It's not poorly made. It's just not made for fountain pens. The 1.1, we definitely have some spread. We have the beginnings of some feathering, but it's not woolly and distracting. It doesn't make all the writing look blurry. We have no halo, sheen, or shade. The extra fine gives us no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, and 1 second to dry. At 1 second to dry, this is not bad. As a bleed through for 1 second to dry, this is not bad. It's pretty good. If you use this with an extra fine, go drier and it probably won't bleed through at all. The medium gives us no feathering, definitely get some spread, no halo, no sheen, and no shade, and 2 seconds to dry. I just don't know that it's worth it based on I'm getting a lot of bleed through, although it didn't touch the page below. 2 seconds to dry. Both the extra fine and the medium scrubby show us we don't get to have any color variation. And the smear test says you could probably recover this if you were to smear while you were writing. And that's all that I have for the writing sample. Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine Claret, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I was thinking a very bright green would work, and that led me to Colorverse Schrodinger. Before we get to my opinion on this ink, I would ask if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Diamine Claret? I think it's a beautiful color. It is not obnoxious in any way. I think this is a very standout and vibrant tone on the page. If you're a teacher, I think this is nowhere near as harsh to use for corrections. I like it. Thanks for watching.